Hello, my friends, and welcome to the second meeting of the Church of Unending Empathy and the first meeting of the Rainbow Revolutionary Army. I am pastor and the highest priest, Reverend Hippie. For those of you first timers here, welcome to my channel. Tattoos and t-shirts is a labor of love, my love of tattoos, which by the time I'm done, I will be covered from my arms, my legs. I'll be covered. And there'll be a reason behind it. But for those of you following my diet, it's kind of taken a turn. This is actually day 14 of a hunger strike. For those not aware, the reason I'm staging this hunger strike is to call out a terrible man by the name of Sheriff Noel E. Stephen from Okeechobee County, Florida. This man has been in law enforcement for 37 years. He has a problem controlling his libido, for one thing. He's cost the county already, I believe was maybe 9 million. I may be misquoting, but that was the first lawsuit against them that they had to pay. Recently, and the reason why I started this campaign basically is because of the horrendous arrest and jailing of Football Hall of Famer Warren Sapp. By the way, he is fully aware of what I'm doing, and he and I have been conversing a bit back and forth while he is in Thailand. He advised if he were here, he would be here picketing alongside of me. So I'm happy for that fact that he reached out to me. But that's why I started this. It started with that arrest, but it has grown into something else recently. Before I get past myself, I've written notes, so I wanted to explain about the hunger strike. The reason I chose my type of peaceful protest to be a hunger strike is patterned after Mahatma Gandhi. I may be Gandhi, the gentleman. He also peacefully protested, but more recently was a gentleman named Cesar Chavez, who was fighting for workers' rights. And he himself, on at least 3 different occasions, because of the injustice that he saw, he went on a hunger strike. I think the longest of his lasted 36 days. Somewhere in that ballpark. At midnight, it is now 10:40 here. At midnight, it will be 14 days since I've had any solid food. About a week in, I did actually kind of cheat, but I drank a few packages of cup of soup that was just the powder, and you put it in a coffee cup with boiling water. But after having read about Mr. Chavez, I decided that I was going to change to completely water, and that's what I have done. Since October 9th of this year, I have lost 69 pounds as of this morning. Um, my body had enough fat on it that I'm living off of it okay. But when I spoke in front of the Okeechobee County Council on the 25th of February, I said publicly that I would not eat another thing until Sheriff Stephen is removed from office. And I mean that. And I have stuck to that because my integrity means more to me than anything. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. So not only was Mr. Sapp's arrest horrible, I recently found out that not only under this man's command, one of his deputies, in not very recent history, was driving, responding to, I believe, a domestic assault, driving 98 miles an hour with no lights or sirens. And he struck the car that contained two beautiful young Latina girls that makes me ill. And I wonder if that officer's, I don't know if he survived. Not pertinent. If he did, is he still on the police force? Because if he is, then he as well needs to be terminated as soon as possible. It's because of this injustice that my future plans include I will be driving down probably early Thursday morning, because supposedly the next meeting in Okeechobee is Thursday, whatever the Thursday date is. But they, on their website, they've got the wrong day of the week with the wrong date. So I don't know if that's a misprint intentionally to throw people off, but I will be calling Okeechobee County tomorrow to find out for sure when the meeting is, because I plan on going and setting up my chair with my nice, lovely signs that I've made up with my distaste for those behind the thin blue and gray lines. And I'm going to set up my chair in front of the sheriff's department, and if I get there early in the morning, I will just sit out there with my signs, listen to my music, and when 9 o'clock rolls around, I will be there for the meeting so I can speak my piece again and let them know that if they want to be responsible for my starvation death, then maybe they should do something about a worthless bag of human excrement that wears a badge and a gun that runs the county. No E for erection, apparently, since you can't control your libido, you bag of dung. If anybody supports him too, you should be ashamed. Absolutely. If you live in Okeechobee County, you should be knocking down the doors, demanding he be fired. I don't understand people. Don't sit by idly. Keeping quiet is being complicit. If you don't say something, you are just as complicit as those that are committing these heinous acts. That's why I'm calling it out. Are you afraid? Let me speak to those behind the thin blue line now. Honestly, people, do you really believe that we, the people, respect you and believe you have integrity? No, you lost that. We, the people, are fed up with your bullshit. Absolutely. So, just for those that are around me, if you have a badge and a gun and you want to put hands on me, be ready to protect yourself, because I will not tolerate an illegal arrest. I will fight back. And what's funny is I'm not afraid to lose my life. Are you? When I close my eyes at night, I am able to sleep at night because I'm happy with the man that I was throughout the day. That's how I live my life. And if I wasn't proud of the man that I was, then I don't sleep. But I've never slept better in my life lately, because I know my intentions are good. My heart is in the right place. And the army I want to build of First Amendment auditors themselves. Everyone should be a First Amendment auditor. If you see, this is where bullies, I've said in the past that I hate bullies no matter what form they take. My first bully was my father. And I hate to say that, but it's true. And then when I was in 6th grade, I had a for real bully until I graduated. And then the guy is still a bully to this day, I'm sure, because that's how he's lived his whole life. And he's a punk. Mark Van Vliet or Scott Van Vliet, whichever one you are, you scumbag. Come on. I'm ready for you. You have a surprise coming, my friend. But I'm a peaceful man. And I have peaceful intentions towards everybody that isn't a bully. And you know who's become the biggest bullies? I've said this before. It's you with the badges and guns. You have forgotten that you are public servants. At one point, when you raised your right hand and you swore to be not a law enforcement officer, you swore to be a peace officer. Can anybody remember when the word peace and police officer were associated? I can't. Not since I was born. Because right around the time of the civil rights movement, you notice that the government started using the police more as thugs. I talked about Fred Hampton. Fred Hampton from the Black Panther Party, Chicago edition, who was drugged by an informant, and then his house was filled with bullet holes, and he was assassinated in his bed next to his pregnant wife, who, thank God, survived along with her baby. And that would be Frederick Allen Hampton Jr., and I would love to meet him and his mother. They are heroes to me, because Fred Hampton was not what white America painted him to be. Rich, old, white America. I have a new shirt that says, I no longer want to hear from old white men. And I mean that from the depth of my soul. If you're white, old, and Christian, shut your fucking mouth. Shut up. Nobody wants to hear your bullshit anymore. People are waking up to the fact that your nonsense that you preach constantly and shove down people's throats is horse shit. The Bible itself, supposedly not to be altered in any way, has been added to or taken away more than 35,000 times. the stories about Jesus and everybody else in the Bible is recycled history. Do some research into Egyptian history. You'll see. It's ridiculous. And it's being forced down people's throats. And I won't have it. That's why my church is philosophically based on peaceful people who talk about being kind. In my last video, I neglected to mention the biggest and most important person who has ever affected me in my entire life, and that is Fred McFeely Rogers, better known as Mr. Rogers. He taught me how to be kind to everyone, regardless of their color, creed, sexual orientation. It didn't matter to him. If anyone on the earth should receive sainthood, it should be Fred McFeely Rogers. He was the epitome of kindness and empathy, which the world needs. It's not a detriment to society, like I've heard people saying recently. Good God. Are you fucking insane? Empathy is my superpower. It's the reason why I was able to survive behind bars with murderers and rapists and baby killers. Empathy. I met people on the daily that were having the worst days of their life, and I remembered that. I thought about that. But that's what law enforcement and corrections have forgotten. These people, law enforcement especially, you have the choice to ruin lives or not. And did you know that pulling somebody over for 5 miles an hour over the speed limit, which this is personal to me because this happened to me in Nevada in about 1997, I want to say. I was going 5 miles an hour over the speed limit and was pulled over by an officer, given a speeding ticket. I asked for a warning, but was told, no, I don't write warnings. And you're about the 20th ticket I've written today. So you see that being a police officer now has become piracy, road piracy. You'll hear that term thrown around, that police officers are road pirates. And that is because that's exactly what you have become. Your job has become to ruin people's lives. Oh, the ticket ended up turning into a warrant years later, which I had to clear up before I was able to get a job in the future for a ticket for 5 miles an hour over the speed limit because I didn't pay it. I didn't have any money at the time to pay it. I was raising, at the time, 2 little boys, which soon turned into 3. So when you're a corrections officer, or at that time I was working in a door making factory in Klamath Falls, Oregon. Let me get back to my notes here. Here is some advice that everyone in the world actually needs to take. If you, like me, want to hold yourself accountable when you're interacting with anyone, or when you're by yourself, if you're by yourself and you have the urge to, you see a kitten and you want to harm that kitten, this is what I want you to remember. Whenever you interact with any living thing, I want you to pretend that strapped to their head or their little head, whatever it is a little camera that is currently live streaming to YouTube. And it's being recorded for eternity. So the way you act in that moment with that person, they're going to carry with them for the rest of their life. Whether it's a good impression or a bad impression, it's up to you. I choose, whenever I have an interaction with somebody who is kind and gentle, somebody that's not a bully. Bullies get different treatment. Bullies get I'm going to turn off the camera in the padded cell and have my way with you kind of thing, which is, I won't say never happened. Yeah. People, please wake up and see the injustices that are happening all around us. After I go and speak in Okeechobee, I'll be heading to Jensen Beach, Florida to, excuse me, to peacefully protest in front of a restaurant that, because they didn't like Mr. Jeff Gray, who is the owner of the channel Honor Your Oath Investigations, I believe it is. Jeff Gray was not only charged with a crime, but a felony for standing out in front of a restaurant with a sign that said, "God bless the homeless vets." And he was armed with his sidearm that he has a concealed weapons permit for. But he was still arrested because they didn't like him out in front of their restaurant. So I'm going to make sure that that restaurant goes out of business. And if I have to sit in front of their restaurant until they do, I'll do that. Nah, probably not. But I will be known. It will be known. So, my army, like I said, everyone should be a First Amendment auditor. If you see anyone bullying another person, bullies hate one thing, and that's exposure. And what's the best way to expose somebody? With your camera. They hate being on film, because if you'll notice, every human being that has ever been on the camera is trying to be on their best behavior. Smile pretty and sit up straight. Yeah. Remember the small camera strapped to everyone's head. I know that sounds ridiculous, but if you think about it, it's actually pretty astounding, because it holds you accountable. And at the end of the day, like I said, my integrity means everything. That's why I haven't eaten a bite of food in 14 days, because I told the public in Okeechobee County that I would not until that sheriff is gone. And I mean to follow through with that. And if that makes me an idiot, I don't fucking care. If I lose my life proving a point and righting a wrong, or trying to, I can live with that or die with it. So, if you want to join my army and start making these people, everyone that's a bully, especially those that wear badges and guns, and those that have judges' aprons on, robes, whatever, you don't impress me. You're just lawyers that have kissed enough ass to get to where you are. You sicken me too. I want to give a shout out to several people. The armed fisherman, John Felix, XXGOX. He's a funny dude. body bag records. So many. Mr. Warren Sapp, again, thank you for reaching out and understanding what I am trying to accomplish here. We need to end qualified immunity, people. That is like I said, my mission is two-pronged. End qualified immunity and end the failed war on drugs. Cannabis needs to be federally legalized now. And I would love on the big open lawn in Washington, D.C. to have fellow cannabis enthusiasts and just people that understand the plant to fill that area and have a peaceful protest until cannabis is federally legalized. Empty the prisons, change the way prisons are run, expunge all the records of those who have ever been arrested for a plant, because it's nonsense. Started by an old white racist and perpetuated by an old white racist named Richard Milhouse Nixon. Even though he had the truth in front of him because he hated blacks and Jews and everybody under the sun, he said, fuck this. I don't care if it shouldn't even be scheduled. I'm going to make it all illegal and out of touch. So thank you, Richard Nixon, for starting the campaign that filled our prisons with mostly people that are darker skinned than I am, who I love. I love the Latino community, the Black community, the Chinese community, the Japanese community, the Asian community in general. I love all races, creeds, colors of people. If you're kind to me, I will be kind to you. That's what we need to become, kind to one another. It's not a difficult task if you think about it. It's not that hard. It's called empathy. Thinking about someone else before you think about yourself. How is this going to impact another life? Some of you don't know how to do that, and you need to learn. Because those of you that don't have empathy are sad and disgusting. And you need to fix yourselves. Because if you want to die sad and alone, that's exactly what's going to happen to you. And I don't want to see that happen to anybody. But if you can't realize that you're a fucking bully in one way or another, and you don't change your ways, then believe me, I've made it my mission to find you, and I don't care what kind of a bully you are. I'm going to call you out. I'll give you an example. And I know this is running long, but I'm sorry. 5 years ago or so, I was still living with my folks after I had injured my back to the point where I could not take care of myself. So during that time, on Friday evenings, we would go to Captain D's to have fish every once in a while. And it was okay. But one evening while we were there, a man came in, and now that I look back on it, he probably had some form of dementia or something. But he came in, he and his wife, and he was screaming at the top of his lungs at her to make sure that the fucking napkins were on the table and that his drink wasn't spilled and blah, blah, blah. He had gone overboard. And I stood up and I said, what in the fuck are you doing? Actually, I said, Jesus fucking Christ, because that bothered my parents so much. The look on their face was awful. Oh my goodness. How dare you say that? guess what? Colorful metaphors inject something into a communique, a statement. So I say fuck a lot. It's my favorite word in the world. Ask my kids, which I love my kids. Josh, PJ, David, I love you. And my grandbabies. Noah, Emmy, and Coraline. Papa loves you. You can call me Papa Hippie now, not Baby Papa. Anyway, I'm doing this, all of this, not for notoriety, not for anything other than to stand up for what is right for another human being. Like I said, I'm not stopping after Okeechobee because the thing that happened to Jeff Gray in Jensen Beach cannot stand. He's facing felony charges for exercising his First, Fourth, Fifth Amendment rights. Trampled on. And the guy laughed. And they shoved him in the back of his car. He couldn't fit. Jeff's a bigger guy. They shoved him in the back of a Malibu. Yeah. Jensen Beach. I'm coming. I may bring friends, hopefully. Lots of them. Let's get them. My army. If you have an interest in what I'm talking about holding those responsible and filming everybody that's a bully, please reach out. My email is thehippieexmo, all in lowercase, HIPPIE, and Exmo is EXMO for ex-Mormon, and the before it, at Gmail. Please reach out. I would love to hear back. Please comment, like, share, if any of this makes sense. I appreciate the support. If I forgot one of my auditor friends for now, Flex Your Freedoms, Audit the Audit. Sean Paul Reyes from Long Island Audits is one of my heroes, but so is James Madison Audits. James, please, I sent you, we conversed a little bit, but if you see this, please reach out. If you believe in what I'm proposing here, please join my team, join my army to hold these people accountable. I got uniforms picked out and everything. So I'll show that off in the future. But in the meantime, if you see a cop, film him. If you see a bully of any other type, film them. They hate it. Exposure. Expose people that are doing bad. That's what I am doing. And Sheriff Noel E. Stephen is a bad man who needs to be removed from office before more beautiful young Latina ladies or anyone, your grandmother, cops, you're going to lose your qualified immunity. If I will die in my quest to have qualified immunity ended. And I will give my life in that pursuit. So I'm not an educated man. I've gone to school numerous times. I have shortcomings when it comes to mathematics that I'll never get beyond because I don't like it. That's why I surround myself with people who like that stuff. I don't. But philosophy, history, come on. Literature, poetry, music, art. Let's talk. I've sat for the last 4.5 years in my double wide trailer in a little town in Florida studying history. And it influenced me enough to do what I'm doing now. Mr. Chavez is a prime example of that. I'll give my life to see this injustice done. And I hope that if I do lose my life, that my kids and my grandkids will at least be proud. Other than that, I'm a very happy man. And like I said, I go to bed every night content with the man that I've been during the day, because I made that my goal. And Mr. Rogers taught me how to do that. Please follow, like, and subscribe, and let your friends know about me. I love you all. Namaste.